One of the things that I love about our church year is that there are rhythms to it, that we have different times of the year when we prepare for different things. Advent is the first season in our church year, and that's the time when we prepare for the birth of Christ. Many families have Advent down pat. People have their Advent calendars, and they work through the days leading up to Christmas. But they forget that there is more than Advent. We have other seasons that follow. We have Epiphany that gives us the wise men and teaches us more about the revelation of God. And then we come to Lent. Now, Lent is one of the harder seasons in our church year. Lent celebrates and commemorates the time that Jesus spent in the wilderness, the time that he was in the wilderness immediately after his baptism and as he prepared to go out and start his ministry. Lent is also a time for us when we can take our families into the wilderness. Now that might sound scary, right? To take your children into the wilderness. Most of us want to protect our children, and we don't want them to know about hard things or scary things. We don't want them to be afraid of anything. But Lent is a time to help them move through some of the realities of life. Everything that happens in life is not easy. But those of us who follow the words of Jesus know that even when things don't go the way we hope, that God has a promise for us, a promise that says even if those bad things end in death, it's okay because we have another life with God. Lent is the time when we can talk to our children about these things. It's really the time when, by exposing them to the difficulties, we inoculate them. It's a way to help them be stronger and ready to face what might happen, knowing that God is always there with them. And one of the safest ways for them to do that is to do it with their families. For children to see parents struggling through their imperfections, through the hard places in their lives, and for them to see that they too can come through the wilderness into new life. One of the things that happens during Lent, traditionally, is that people are baptized at the end of Lent, at a service, usually a vigil right before Easter. And in the church, Lent became a time to prepare for that baptism, for that time when new people were being brought into the community and supported by the community. In many traditions, part of the Easter service is to renew your own baptismal vows. As you go through Lent as a family, you can talk about those baptismal vows, and you can remind your children that when they do that, they will once again be making promises that will help them be part of a community and to help the community to also grow in God. So as we move through Lent, we have the chance to grow together as a family, to learn from each other, for children to see from adults that life ultimately is good, that God has promised, that we'll never stay in the wilderness, even though we may have to walk through the wilderness to get to that day of renewal, to Easter and resurrection.